So this is
Africa.
We can put another person.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit here. If that's okay.
this was
We start over. Thank you.
something I learned a month ago. So I went to this global leadership program at Harvard a month ago, and no, it's actually not hosted by. It's just hosted by Harvard. It's not organized by Harvard.
Okay.
And they had this technique called finding your purpose. And so it started out with 3 circles. I'm going to try to see if I can get Wi-Fi and open it up.
Wi-Fi is not so happy this morning.
I'll just connect to my phone.
Perdón.
Outside, it was outside alone. Super lonely sea.
Second. So, so they talked about the 3 circles. So the first circle is, you guys might want to draw these 3 circles, and I'm going to try to see if I can open it up. So the first circle is your what you do best, your skill, your set of skill sets. The second circle is your passion.
Are these interlocking circles?
Yes, these are 3 interlocking circles.
We all need to draw.
What do you
Oh, you don't have to.
Your passions?
Joking.
Skills, passion.
Skills, passion, and the last one.
Of course.
And the last one is
What pays best?
something beyond yourself, like a global issue that you would like to solve, that you would like to get yourself involved with. So something that is outside your own personal.
Passion?
Purpose.
Unique ability
No,
plus.
so like if you really believe in helping poverty, for example, that could be a challenge, but that you're interested in.
A challenge.
Different than the passion.
The passion is like I love to run, or I
Okay.
love to make
Yeah.
stuff. You're not really actually addressing a challenge.
But like,
So
I love
the
to run can be a passion, or it's
Yeah.
like,
it
being
could be a
healthy.
passion. No, you can actually be a passion.
That's not a challenge. I mean, you can run.
It's just
Maybe you do this to raise money to.
Yeah, it's like an American thing.
Honestly, I had seen this with the money.
I just had a friend, I just had a guy I know send me an
Have
email
to make a
about
decision. They
that.
say you have to see
Running
what
through
you're
the
good at,
desert.
what pays best, right, and what you like. You have to find equilibrium in the 3 things.
Somehow it's missing in this 3 things.
Okay, so
Making the money part, I don't know why.
So the intersection of those 3 should be your purpose. So finding something that you do well, that fits your passion, and that it addresses a certain challenge, should be your purpose in life. If that is your goal.
So, sorry, purpose, passion, and?
Skills.
Passion,
Skills.
what you
What
do
you good at.
best, and a challenge, like a global challenge. There's no internet anywhere, not even on my phone.
Yeah, there was something.
Very small.
Maybe there's been a nuclear war and all the...
Okay. The best place you can get caught if there's a nuclear war out there.
Right here.
Right here, you
I'm
know.
moving.
Food.
I'm not moving.
It's a nice art to look at.
So the first step to this is to brainstorm a few things that fit all 3 categories, like maybe 3 or 4 things. If you like to run, for example, we can use the running as an example. You like to run, you're really good at, you have really good social skills and bring people together, that would be your skill set. And you really wanted to help out poor children in Africa. Really seemingly unrelated things. So maybe one of the things that you could do is to create an event, a marathon event that raise funds for children over there, alongside with a social happening in the end that could, gather people. I'm doing this really quickly.
Because there is like this criticism that people should not use their hobby, make their hobby their business.
So why not?
Why not?
They should totally.
Because
this is
there's something in there, because then you
No.
lose, it becomes your day-to-day thing and you lose the interest in it because you become already too involved in something that was a happy thing and became a burden thing.
Yeah.
That's happened to a couple of friends of mine, for sure.
They say, and in startups, so like for example, there was like a pedo startup, there was like, and the guy associated was like, you know, one of the best, you know, pedals. You know, the pedal is like a tennis thing, and it totally fit.
Okay, so
I mean, basically, if you, yeah, it's good to have a space with something you like that is not corrupted.
I
by
can share
work
this with
or-
all of you. It's just a set of questions. So this session usually is like 6 hours long, and we're compressing it into one. But afterwards, I can pass you this slide, and then you guys can just do it on your own. So I'm just going to go through the questions. So the first set of questions is what makes me or what makes you come alive. So the things, this is to address things that you're really passionate about, that really. What? Sorry.
Go back for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What does the world need? Okay.
What's the world need? So that's the global challenge that you want to address. So what do you love to do? What do you do best that makes you like really come alive? What do you do that makes you the happiest? So I don't know if this is a hobby or not hobby. It's just addressing things that really makes you happy when you're doing it. And the second question is what are you good at? What are your skills? So you can start listing a few things here and a few things here. What your skill sets that you're good at? And what are your superpowers? Which means that you guys should probably go to the other section and talk about superpowers. And then the last question is, what does the world need, right? And there's, have you guys heard of the Singularity University?
Sure.
And they have these 10 pillars.
Yeah.
So those could be, you can look those up in terms of inspirations. And then you start to brainstorm, what can I create? What the world needs while doing what I love. And this is the whole objective of finding a life purpose. And so towards a bigger goal that you know how to do while doing what you love most.
What can I create? What the world needs
While doing
while
what
doing.
you know how to do and what you love doing most.
Needs, why you do
I'll pass
what-
you this. If you guys give me a list of emails, I can just send you this.
Okay.
This PowerPoint.
And you do that in 6 hours only, yeah?
Usually we do it like in 6 hours. Well, I never done this. I did it as a participant. But we did it in pairs. So every time we answered questions, we give each other feedback and we see how we progress. So the next question is, how can I get paid doing what I love, doing all of this stuff?
Now you're a gay.
I'm fine now. I'm fine.
Apparently this is the key.
No, don't get me wrong, right?
If you can, so what are some of the business models that you generate from this? So if it is a charity, it will require some kind of a fundraising. If it is a business, what is the business model? And where can you find this funding? And then you go to the other extreme. What would you do if you're trying to be unreasonable? If there's no barriers, if there's no boundaries, if there's no limitations, no obstacles, what would you do? And you list those, and you work backwards, and which leads to the next
What do you
question.
mean, if unreasonable?
That there is nothing stopping you. You can do whatever you want. If that is the scenario, what would that be? So like, I want to fly everyone out to Mars, for example. Or I want that there is no passport and everyone can traverse in every single border in the world. Those kinds of things. Which leads to the next question, what is it that is holding you back? What are the obstacles that you're encountering that will not let you do what you wanted to do if you were unreasonable? It could be personal things, it could be
Usually it is.
no, usually there's a lot of like outside factors, like government regulations. There's a lot of like bias. There's different
Imagine
factors.
we're sort of our own stoppers.
But yeah, list those things, and then you can go through them one by one and say, well, what can I do to make a change in that particular area so that I can overcome that obstacle to arrive to my goal. And so. Then the next one is to imagine it. It's the year 2050. You have already been doing what you do best, impacting the world. What was that impact like? You have just helped 20 million starving children in Africa. You have just,
Incredibly idealistic here.
whatever it is. There's no criticism. No one is looking at your.
2040, or does it have to be?
No, it's just a made up number.
For you, it will be on the 25th.
In case your reality has to write.
Move on.
Yeah, so if you spent the last 35 years underground,
But yeah, basically just trying to imagine what kind of impact you can create doing what you want to do best. And what would that happen if you don't exist? Like those two scenarios. If you didn't exist and you didn't create that impact, what would the world be like? Would it be better? Would it be worse? Would it be maintained the same? I mean, what is it that you have applied or you have contributed that arrived to that?
It's a very dangerous question. You might discover that it doesn't really matter.
Unfortunately, that's just the reality,
But
right?
these are all super, I mean, this, you do it for yourself. You're not like, doing this for the world. You're doing this for yourself.
Completely. This
But-
is, this is
but
the
like,
moment of
no.
impact when you
But
realize
let me just go a little
I'm
beyond
a
here,
cog
like,
in the wheel.
if we're here, like if all here are Buddhism, like, and people like very much more introspect, for them, the impact in the world doesn't mean much. Does it mean like, interior peace? How's that, there is like, also like, the way on like, Americans probably like the view of like, I would have saved 5,000 lives.
Changing the world.
That is
theory.
like, I would change the word through like my process of like, giving up everything and let all, walk naked. And it's like, with that, with
Oh,
like,
let's do that.
okay, and
Yeah,
with
fuck the
that,
workshop.
no, and with that, there will be no production of textile. We're not gonna be killing people in India. We're not gonna be people, like, it's like the degradation of that. And like with that, I have like say 5,000 people. But it's like, but if I am like, a Buddhist, I would like, if I have self-peace in like 2050, I'm okay.
Yeah, that addresses your personal challenge. But it doesn't really address.
But what is the impact?
But this is trying to create a kind of internal and external connection. So it's not just solving your own, if not that there is a contribution to the world. So it's just slightly different. It doesn't have to be either or. You know what I mean? So maybe it's like I wanted to have I'm making this up. Maybe I wanted to have an inner peace, but not just me. I want to help other people to have that inner peace as well. That could be one of the goals. I don't know if I was doing something.
No, it's okay.
What is it that, this question is asking, like, what is it that is so compelling to you that you want to dedicate your next 10 years of your life doing?
I think if I can address what Adriana was saying, took me a while to think, I'm sorry. Basically, we're talking about what's your purpose in life, right? And the purpose here is assuming that it needs to include some external need. For monetary reasons, there is a need in the world, so I will create something that will help me make money, like looking at it from the business perspective. Or, I think that's more important, thinking that if you feel that there is a larger meaning than you in what you do, it will make you feel better. Largely...
But it's not either or. This is where the 3 circle comes from. It's that you're solving your own initial needs, the needs of others, while doing what you do. It's the 3 components.
Right,
so
but she's arguing that you don't necessarily need to include, or she's raising the question whether you really need to include the needs of others in that triangle, right?
I would argue that you almost always have to, because we kind of live in
You
a
live
very
in a
social.
social
I mean, like,
intertwined.
I mean, I see this coming very much from sort of a West Coast philosophy.
It's a Western thinking, for
And
sure.
also like a West Coast, California, Western thing, and I buy into it. I mean, if you're able to connect something that is important for you, something that you're passionate about, something that you're good at, and it is something that creates an impact beyond your immediate circle of the people you can touch, then it's got a higher purpose. But I think what both of them are saying, and I've struggled with this before, is there's things that I care about deeply, there are things that I'm passionate about, but I don't necessarily feel that I need to go out and save the world.
I think also part of it is that there's a money component to it, like
Right.
how do you make it sustainable? And you cannot not do that. You cannot do that not including others, because.
Well, that is also a danger, because I think that when I always find that in business sessions, when people are talking about how to come up with a business, so one of the main initial questions is find a need. Because once you find the need, right, I mean, you all have been in.
You supply something
You
to
supply
somebody else.
something and you create value from what you can give, and then you will make money. And many times that need is not, it's hard to start putting grades of how much value it has, but lots of the needs are, waste more time in the internet, or, they're not really valuable things. They supply what the masses need, and many times the masses don't need something that you can really, put it on a I don't know, I lost my words, but on a value scale, it's not very high on a value scale.
There's something, because I've thought a lot about this. And last year here, Adriana and I did this session on transition, because I was in a big transition period, and part of it, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out purpose.
Yeah.
And got nowhere.
Really?
And there were a couple things, and there was a couple things that were insights that I started to have. Is one, to be able to start to answer some of these questions, you have to be in a mental space of to be able to connect very truthfully with yourself. And that is not always easy, because if you're not, even just evaluating your skill set, if you're not in a good place, you don't know what you're good at.
It's true.
You don't value it.
But this is also why they propose that you do this in a pair.
Yeah.
So that you can
So you-
bounce back on maybe certain things that you don't see yourself, and your partner could see it and could.
But these people
point
have
that
to know
out.
you really well, huh?
Yeah.
These are some deep questions that go way beyond, hi, my name's Avi, nice to meet you.
I did this exercise with them, and it was very helpful towards the end, especially because it went from really, really broad to really, really specific action sets.
Can you share your findings?
Yes, at the end.
Okay.
At the end.
Right
At the end.
Yeah, we don't let you finish your,
Okay.
Okay, I love this because
No, I mean,
This-
will you share your findings?
I will.
That was my question.
So once you write your purpose, and mine was about a page long, they made us do this. How can you write this so that a 10-year-old can understand? Which is so obvious. And I tried to explain that one page to my partner, and he couldn't. He was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I didn't understand a single word.
It's a
So
radio.
it has to actually be less than 15 words,
Right.
and it has to be less than 15 words, and you need to kind of test this on a 10-year-old and make sure that it's understandable.
We don't have a 10-year-old around.
I know.
She's very.
No,
No,
she's 8.
she's 8.
But she's a
But
smart,
she's smart,
she's a
yeah.
smart
Yeah,
age.
she's one of the 10 from.
She's a
She
smart
attended the
age.
session yesterday, so
She's
she's
a
like,
smart age.
Cecilia,
But yeah,
I have a stupid question. Regarding the circle of the...
Exist.
Okay, I have a great question.
the first one.
Regarding the first cycle, the one about the big challenge, no? A bit
What does the world need?
Yeah. How do you know this is actually real? A bit what you said in the very beginning. How do you know that there's a problem or what you think is actually true? Like I believe, I don't know, some people are starving and they should need food.
Yeah.
How do I know this is pretty true, no? But
So she said like goes to singularity. They have been studying that, and like you have like a little sneak, like how can I say?
yeah, but after
Yeah.
all,
You're
why?
gonna
Back door.
find out. You're gonna find
Yeah.
out eventually. So
Yeah.
that doesn't
I mean,
matter.
there are obvious challenges like people starving, need water, food, education, whatever.
That's basically the 10 kind of pillars that Singularity talk about: transportation, security, food. Exactly.
But then your big challenge has to be based on one of these, or
Not
there's some
necessarily.
skills, or-
Mine didn't really touch on any of them.
What is
It's
your
more
big
broad.
challenge for me?
She's gonna finish.
But I think you should think of the challenges as something so big. I mean, we're not in America. We're not spreading democracy and solving all the problems in the world. You know?
It can be a subset of a subset.
Yeah.
Instead of a subset.
Yeah, we're just, helping people find their
Yeah,
purpose
in my
in life.
neighborhood,
Helping
whatever.
my kids,
Yeah,
my-
That would be the appropriate.
Even if the challenge is not such, you will have started a process which will enrich you anyway, and you will probably pivot to some other direction if that's not really a challenge that you can find either a business model or a motivation in the end, but I think it's just identifying the three areas which are not static,
Right.
and they will be like, you know,
And they might
moving all the way
change.
around.
And this isn't a static document. It's not like you ask all these questions and it's fixed for life. It's something that you can work on and modify and change and add. And
But what we say in everything we say is that the big challenge of each one of us is beneficial to the world. This is what we say since the very
Yes.
beginning, but
But
my point
it
is,
doesn't have,
how do you know you're doing good?
but it doesn't have to be really beneficial.
I mean,
It's
that's
something that you would like to do. And the purpose is for you,
the
not
purpose is
necessarily
for you.
for
This is you.
everyone in the
You
world.
define what that is.
So you could be a mean person and wish something bad to the world, no?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
mean, you know,
Which doesn't
I mean,
make
I
sense.
think
You're probably
no
not gonna go
one
through
knows
this
what
exercise.
the
No, but if you are,
obviously, I
if
mean,
you are
This
saying
exercise is not
that's
for
what
you.
moves you forward, if you're an person, that's, I mean, you want to invade Poland, I mean, it's not a good thing to do, but I mean,
But if you're really
He thinks
passionate
he's
about it-
liberating somebody.
Yeah,
that's
It has to be done.
How do you know
See the latest government
That's about
report.
politics.
Okay, let's,
That's moving forward. Okay,
let's-
so then the next question is how might you make it happen? So let's say that you wanted to create this charity, but you're not going to be able to create this charity tomorrow. Maybe the next step in life is to find an organization that is already doing something similar, learn that technique, and so what are those things that might help you contribute towards finding that path? And this is the list of questions. You have kind of stated that your life purpose, which is a kind of statement. Then you have to state your lifetime goals. And this is ultra specific, even though it could change. So your lifetime goal could be like, it is almost always numerical, as I was taught. So like my lifetime goal is to be able to feed 50 million children in Africa. My lifetime goal is to create a platform that has 200 million users that is creating impact. My lifetime goal is to be a billionaire with 5 houses. It could be anything. It could be anything you want, but it's very, very like scientific. It's almost scientific, like with the numbers, with stuff.
Something measurable.
Something measurable. Thank you very much. I didn't have my coffee this morning.
But no, what is the difference between that and the story that you told for the 15-year-old?
That's your life purpose. I want to dedicate myself in helping children. That would be my life purpose. This is your lifetime goal. I wanted to be able to feed 500 children in Africa within the next 20 years.
I do too.
Time-bound, specific, numerical.
Like vision, mission? Vision, mission?
Yeah, okay. Okay, sorry.
Because the lifetime goal might not be the same as your purpose. So you could have like, I would like to solve,
Cancer.
I would like to solve cancer.
You
And how
have
do you do
5
that?
minutes to do that.
How do you do that? You could go many different directions.
No, like, you know,
Like the one in the house?
This turns it into an action plan.
This turns into an action plan. So the next
Okay.
This turns
few,
into an
hey,
action
you
plan.
saw the movie.
Which movie?
There's one you're talking the story about. Don't say that. You're giving blood. What do you call it?
oh, so then the next question is the action plan. So now you know your life purpose, and now you know your lifetime goal. What is your 10-year lifetime goal? So and what? No, sorry. Next one. What are your 10-year goals? So not your lifetime goal. Your lifetime goal will be 35, 40, 50 years. What is your 10-year goal? And you start working backwards. The next one will be, what is your 1-year goal? And then once you have the 1-year goal, you work backwards again. So what is your 90-day plan? So
This means that you're actually starting at time 0 being any time or time 0 being tomorrow.
tomorrow.
So you got this, at the end of this year, you're actually taking some decisions. You're
Yeah,
not going
yeah.
this way.
But this is all modifiable.
What are you
like,
gonna
this
do
is
when you
not-
wake up, when you stand up, right?
This is supposed to get you thinking.
So going back to that example, you wanted to help children in Africa running this marathon,
today.
whatever. So your first step may be to work for an organization that is already doing this, and how are you going to be able to work on this? You need to make a list and do a research of what organization is doing this. You need to call them, you need to send them your CV. This would be your 90-day plan.
Peter Drucker used to say that strategy is what you start doing tomorrow.
Exactly. But these are all really small steps. These are things that you can do tomorrow for the next 90 days, and that it's like these are accomplishable goals for your 1-year plan. So And then for you to be able to make those actionable, what are the habits that you need to start forming? Maybe you need to start to read 1 article per day. Maybe you need to start running more with other people. Maybe you need to stop smoking. In my case, it was stop smoking. What if, you know, all those habits that you need to take on or leave or whatnot in order for the action to be applicable. And then that's basically it. The next sheet is the instructional worksheet, where it's like your summary of the 10-year goal, the 5-year goal, the 1-year goal, your actionable plan, your habits, and all of that stuff. And this is what you have set on your on your screen, and you keep on modifying and adding it. And this is kind of then your life goal.
So
And that's it.
there's
Simple, right?
there's
1 hour, eh?
There's a couple things I want to throw out there again because I spent a lot of time
Yes, please. Love to know.
looking at this and thinking about this. And I saw this one presentation. I'll say 2 things. One, I saw this one. It wasn't a TED Talk, but it was kind of like a TED Talk where it was this a professor somewhere that had studied passion and life purpose, 20 years analyzing all this stuff, and then his findings were, don't follow your, I mean, looked at people that were really happy. It wasn't people that followed their passion. It was people, and he had 3 things. So how do people end up loving what they do for a living? And it was,
Cool.
don't follow your passion, be so good that you can't be ignored. So it was developing skill sets and becoming a master in whatever field it is that you are so good that you are sought out by everyone, because that gives you influence to be able to act in whatever sphere and go deep. I mean, just become really, 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 really good at what you do. I thought, okay, that's, on one side you've got this style of philosophy, identify your goal and your mission, your purpose, your skill set, and here's another guy that's saying, none of these work for me. It was useful exercises, and then I realized it's for me, this is always very personal, I was asking the wrong question. Because this starts out, when you're in transition, you think about stuff, and this is like, what do I want to do? This helps you kind of answer what you want to do. To me, that was the wrong question. The right question is, how do I want to feel? And when you start to ask the questions of how do I want to feel, it opens up a lot more possibilities. I said, okay, so now what I want to do is, if I'm 85 years old, what does success look like for me? How do I define success? And I realized that for me, success, I defined it as time well spent. Open-ended concept. When I'm 85 years old, I want to be able to look back and say, the time I spent on this planet was well spent. And then I need to bring it down. So how do I know that I've actually spent my time well? And I'm connected with the world of how do I want to feel? Like, what are the things, the values, the emotions that I want to feel? And now you're projecting out, and there were a series of things that I mapped out, and I defined these 6 areas. And then the insight that I had is that if you're very truthful with answering, how do I want to feel? And feel could be, I want to feel influential. I want to be important. I want to be seen as someone who's doing something big for the world. Or it could be, you know, I want to feel connected with the people I care about. And as I identified those feelings, I then had the insight that I had is that I can start to act on today. Because I can say, these are the 4 or 5 things that are important for me to feel. And if these, I accumulate those feelings over time, then I will actually build the path.
I agree.
To where I want to go.
I actually left out a whole chunk of this exercise.
So I think the feeling part of it, I think is so important.
Because it was 6 hours long and I had to truncate it. But the original version had a lot of feelings in there. And I'm not a feeling type of person. So, but then to address what you just said, in my case, it's the chicken and the egg. No, it's the chicken and the egg thing. Like, am I feeling this because I'm doing it, or when I'm doing it, I feel like what comes first?
Right.
So I think for some people, it's finding that and then make them happy, or that like I'm happy and then I do this.
Exactly.
So I think I'm going reversed.
Yeah,
it's
I
very
think it's
personal.
very personal.
So
I want to say 2 things. I think it's very important to ask those questions, and I'm not like putting this whole thing down, but I think it lacks, in my opinion, it lacks 2 angles. One is that that I think it lacks the feeling. I think we all had maybe some, I don't know, I had some bad feeling in my stomach when I was hearing all that, because it's like, seems too big for me, and how can, you know, I felt like very small compared to all those big questions. And it's because it's missing, first of all, the tool, the way to be able to even deal with those questions, because we cannot deal with those questions sitting like this with a piece of paper and thinking. You know, you can deal with those questions only when you're doing, when you're living.
Can I address that? This
Yes.
is why I did the prototype thinking yesterday.
Okay.
Because you can,
Yeah.
you know, what
Yeah.
happens when you prototype
Exactly,
the life purpose?
and in the prototype thinking, you had many great things, you
Right.
know. Don't think, you know, learn, don't fail, you know, the process.
Yeah.
It's sort of,
This is
the process teaches,
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
And so that's one thing. And the second thing is somehow connected, is that, there is so much you can know about what is going to happen in 5 minutes. And it's sort of, putting all these things on paper, it kind of fights against this certain forgiveness and flexibility that we need to have in life.
Absolutely.
That's the way life is made, out of so many turns and changes of, you know.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
I would like to say two things with what you said. First of all, I'm a singularity fellow, so I was there. And I have my criticism to the singularity approach, which some of you have already said. It's a lot of like West Coast approach of, at some point, very technology-oriented people, first of all. It's not like what, if you apply like the design thinking methodology, it's not like what problem I want to solve and let's see what I can do with technology. It's the other way around. Let's see all the technologies we have and let's see what we can do with them. It's a little bit like this. So, and also, to me, the feelings are not there. It's like a big grand, right? With this huge technology, what can we do? And then, yeah, the West Coast approach. Let's program something and do some application that can link to something. So there's not really soul there. And I don't know how realistic it is. It's very trendy, and it's you put in my singularity. It's like wow, right? But there's something missing. And then
Increasingly missing, in fact.
Okay, that I don't know, but there's something missing.
That's good to know.
And talking about the process, I'm really fully agree with you, and I think we have a great opportunity with your workshop. I mean, we're linking this session, and we have a 2 hours workshop of how to define ourselves with pieces and instruments, and that's a great process. So let's all go there and try to, you know, put prolong what we discussed.
Yeah, I have to go to work, so you can find your life purpose and become superhuman.
Can you show your
Thank you,
case?
Cecilia. See, I need to prepare a couple of things.
Okay.
Can you comment on the prototyping you mentioned? I didn't catch that part.
No, what that
You can apply the prototyping technique with your own life purpose. So it doesn't seem so like you have to solve the whole thing in one go.
So look, you were saying like, you know, you can try your life purpose in different ways. You can write, rewrite.
You can address chunks of it. Like, what are you good at, for example? You can apply
And then you this, and then
exactly. Am I good at this?
and
Am I
then
good
you
at
cut,
that?
and then you try it again.
Different things.
Could you send out your prototype?
Yes.
Night
Yeah.
with
With that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I missed it all yesterday.
Yeah, I missed it. What was that prototype?
It was
And they ignite.
Yeah, a lot of people missed it.
Yesterday
It's okay.
evening.
It was kind of
I missed
crazy. So I learned this other technique from the founder of Google X, and he uses this method called prototype thinking, which is basically just prototype whatever issues or problems that you have in a very, very short period of time, but many, many, many times, so that you increase it. And so
So it's do everything and the other.
so don't think, do, learn, don't fail,
Don't
learn.
fail, learn.
So it's 26 minutes long, the sprints, one cycle. So in one day you can do 15 sprints, and you would have 15 answers to that same question. what worked, what didn't work, and how can you move forward, what is the process easy. So it's just a very, very structured format of testing ideas. Yeah.
I would recommend you, I read recently a book, it's called How Will You Measure Your Life. It's by Tham,
Yeah.
It's the guy of
Yeah,
innovation.
Clinton.
Yeah.
Disruptive innovation guy.
Yeah, it's how will you measure your life. And what I like,
Quite impressive, I have it.
Yeah, what I like
It's
particularly
a book.
It's a book.
Yeah.
How will you measure your life?
How will you measure your life? And what I like particularly from this book, and I think with this sometimes, it has a very moral approach. Because at the end of the day, one of the examples he was giving, he studied at Harvard Business School, he did an MBA, and very successful, economically successful people in his class, like the CEO of Tham. And he said, one thing that I like is, he said, this guy was a clever guy, he was a nice guy, he ended up in prison, the Enron, the CEO of Enron. And he said, it's a nice guy, and basically, at the end, it's everything about morality and values. It's what, because you can be very successful, have a lot of money, have that. But what successful basically means defining your values and being constant. To me, this is, I recommend this.
How you want to be remembered, or when they ask, what would you like in your grave, the sentence that defines you, what would you like to be there, right?
And he defined a very interesting concept like, don't do this thing one time, like don't cheat one time, don't steal one time, because it's an accumulative thing. So the guy at Enron, they got away with something stupid the first time, and then it became a huge goal. Yeah, a habit, exactly.
Matter of the same thing.
Yeah, how will you measure your life? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Very simple, really quick to read. And it tries, what I like is also, it's a book that is called How Will You Measure Your Life. It's very interesting, and it gives you strategies to trying to get this purpose in life, but also, as I was saying, it links very much to moral and values, which I think it's probably it's the most important part in 50 years.
He's the disruptive innovation guy, and he himself went through cancer, very serious cancer, so he went through all this process.
His wife,
I'd like to share one thing. I had this really unique experience, which I happened upon. I was faced with the challenge of recruiting the new CEO for the Minnesota River Valley Girl Scouts, and I took the job really seriously. I'm the board chair and had to replace the CEO suddenly. And it's a big job because it's 30,000 little girls, many from unfortunate backgrounds, and I had to set up a search committee and find the right woman or man to lead these 30,000 girls. And there are so many technically qualified CEOs that would want the platform for the wrong reasons. So I was faced with, this is not like a platform to push your own agenda, you really have to take care of these girls. And girls you would never even imagine that would have a chance are benefiting from this program. So it's not about the political agenda or personal agenda. So I started connecting with everyone, our CEO's personal coach, Marshall Goldsmith. I remember him speaking about certain things and called him, and he said, well, you should talk to Frances Hesselbein. If you want to recruit for the Girl Scouts, ask Frances Hesselbein how to recruit for the heart. And so he opened the door, and I talked to Frances Hesselbein, who turned around the Girl Scouts in the 70s, took over the Drucker Institute, and this very special person, she's 99 years old. And she took the time to have a call with me and instruct me on how to screen for the heart. And it was just so eye-opening, because here she is 99, which when you think about your life journey and your life purpose, she wanted all of these nonprofits to have the same level of skill and professional teaching as the Drucker Institute. And so she made it her life purpose not to just lead the Girl Scouts, but to bring to all nonprofits the skills and the technical abilities that you would afford a Fortune 100 company. And so here I am, recruiting for the Girl Scouts, this very small task, but speaking to this woman who She's like, I'm not gonna stop working, and so they wheeled me out of here in a coffin. And she's 99. And so then I started to think about, wow, what's the next 50 years of my life going to look like? And so it put it into perspective in that life is not just about the job, like life is how you live your life and the impact that you leave and what you're passionate about. I'm passionate about helping people succeed in life, in business, girls, etc., the leadership aspect of it. And I'm struck by how just a tiny bit of my expertise and time can make a lot of difference in people's lives. And so it's not about this grandiose thing, it's about how you show up with every interaction, pull out the strengths in every individual that you touch. And so it doesn't have to be this big,
It ties to the emotion.
it doesn't have to be this big thing, it can be how you live your life every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like your
It
environment, your
totally
immediate
ties to the
environment,
emotion.
yeah.
How do you recruit?
For the heart?
From the story?
She said, Girl Scouts has to be number one. Not I'm interested in girls or I care about women's issues. Girl Scouts is number one. And it's larger than life. And so she really went from that angle back to the purpose of what girls get out of the mission. And she said, don't stray from the mission, essentially. But it's got to be larger than life. And so you hear these stories of her where she'll set up meetings for the Girl Scouts back in the 70s, and they would meet at the Ritz-Carlton or someplace really fancy, because it's not just the Girl Scouts, it's larger than life, and it's really important. You would conduct business like you were a Fortune 10 company. And so often it's like, well, it's a nonprofit, we'll scoot it on the side. No, pull out all the stops, make it the biggest focus, and treat it as though it were just as important as your job, you know? And so that really changed my perspective on how I was recruiting, what I was looking for, and I ended up hiring I promoted the COO, who was the national board chair for the Camp Association. Like, camping and outdoor experience is really important for girls, and so like this woman who just put all of her heart and soul into serving kids and girls earned the CEO title and made it through all the interviews, but it helped me recruit so much more clearly after talking to Francis. Because technically you can hire any CEO on paper, great resumes, but the heart was really what was important to me.
Sorry to ask you this, what is the mission of this camp?
Builds girls of courage, confidence, and character to make the world a better place.
And sell cookies.
You know what? Selling cookies is about financial literacy, and so like we make $8 million in selling cookies, but the problem is it's 90% of our profit. It's 90%, so we can't have our business model tied to cookies, selling cookies, so it's so much more than that. I've been asked to lead from a board chair perspective the GS USA transformation, and it's all about digital transformation, and more than selling cookies.
Scouts movements are very strong here in Catalonia too, not necessarily linked to the religious. So my two daughters, for instance, go to one of these cows, they're called, right? You were school, right?
You mean Professor Masculin?
Madam?
You mean Professor Masculin?
No, not Professor Masculin, no. The Scout movement has been existed here for many years, over 100 years. So they normally meet like Saturday afternoons.
No girls or it's mixed.
It's mixed.
Yes, mixed.
It's
In
Saturdays.
Europe there isn't girls.
No,
or boys.
it's
No
mixed,
uniform.
and it's basically about working with values.
Yeah.
And like my 18-year-old now, she's
A leader.
a leader of a smaller ones, and she goes there on every Saturday in the afternoon.
It's a big
And they work
commitment,
with
huh?
peers to see how we can integrate this one that looks like she's a little bit on the side, how we can work these values. We see a movie and we discuss this. They always make cakes and cookies also for their trip in the summer that they go many times
do
to,
one
like
summer trip.
on a camp to work, to do some
Collaboration.
stuff for the, and to me, I think it's the best training they can have, much more than school. I mean, what they've learned there, it's amazing.
I'm learning all about it now.
They get all these values that it's very difficult to teach at school, and the girls that lead this, or the boys, because it's mixed, I mean, they are up to 20, when they are 21 they leave, so it's really like a self-organized thing, and it's very integrated in society here.
Is it totally non-religious?
Something greater than you. I think that's important.
Yeah, and I notice this now when I'm recruiting. When I see in a resume someone who's been in one of these places, I always put it on top, because you can tell it immediately, because they have the resources, they have team skills, they know how to lead a meeting, because they've learned all these resources of not to impose, how to really, this kind of teamwork.
That's not only for the scout movement, but for the association life.
Yes, exactly. That's another.
I talked to some headhunters how to count this in the recruiting process. For example, in the United States, they count your golf handicap. And what value is that?
Public service.
Public service is much more valuable.
No, we are golfers here.
Is it non-religious in Spain?
It's both.
In Italy,
and it's only here in Catalonia, not in Spain.
So it's like
But the bad thing is that it's every week, it's Saturday.
You have to be a father.
Father,
It's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass.